Subscribe to Infidelity Tales Lab for more stories. Now let's begin this one. Chapter 1. The Call. Marshall Howell's phone buzzed during the quarterly review meeting. Taylor's name flashed on the screen. His wife never called during work unless it was urgent. He excused himself from the conference room of Howell Architecture, the firm he'd built from nothing over 15 years. "Marsh, it's your dad." Taylor's voice was tight. "Mervyn Neal just called me. You know his neighbor? He said he hasn't seen your father in days. The newspapers are piling up." Marshall's stomach dropped. "What about Hunter? He lives 20 minutes away." "That's the thing. Mervyn said Hunter and Iris left for Las Vegas 4 days ago. He saw them loading suitcases into a car." Marshall stood frozen in the hallway, his reflection staring back from the darkened windows overlooking downtown Chicago. His father, Rodney Howell, was 73 with diabetes and a heart condition. Hunter was supposed to be checking on him daily. It was the whole reason their father had given him power of attorney 2 years ago when Marshall moved to Chicago. "I'm booking a flight," Marshall said. "Tonight." 6 hours later, Marshall's rental car pulled into the familiar driveway in Asheville, North Carolina. The house where he'd grown up looked wrong in the December darkness. No Christmas lights, though his father always decorated the day after Thanksgiving. The porch light was out. Dead leaves covered the steps. He knocked. No answer. Used his old key. Thank God his father never changed the locks. The smell hit him first. Unwashed dishes. Unclean spaces. Sickness. "Dad." Marshall's voice echoed in the dark foyer. He flipped the light switch. Nothing. The power was out. He used his phone's flashlight, moving through the house with growing horror. Dirty dishes piled in the sink. Mail overflowing on the table. Red stamped envelopes screaming final notice. The heat was off. The house was barely 60 degrees. He found his father in the bedroom, lying in soiled sheets, so thin Marshall barely recognized him. "Marshall." Rodney's voice was a whisper. "That you, son?" "Jesus Christ, Dad." Marshall rushed to his father's side, his hands shaking as he touched the papery skin of his father's forehead. "No fever, but severe dehydration." "How long have you been like this?" "Lost track. Few days, maybe more. Kept calling Hunter, but..." Rodney's eyes closed. "Said he'd come by. Said he had it handled." Marshall grabbed his phone and called 911, then Taylor. As he waited for the ambulance, he searched the house with his flashlight. His father's wallet was on the dresser, empty. Bank statements showed withdrawals, large ones, several times a week. Cash advances. Wire transfers. The checkbook was gone. In the study, Marshall found his father's filing cabinet forced open, important documents scattered. The lockbox where his father kept emergency cash, empty. But there, wedged behind the cabinet, was a small notebook. His father's handwriting. Dates, amounts, observations. December 1st, Hunter took debit card. Said needed for Dad's bills. $3,200 withdrawal same day. December 8th, Iris came alone. Made me sign papers. Couldn't read without glasses. She took glasses. December 12th, no food delivered. Called Hunter 6 times. No answer. The ambulance arrived, and Marshall rode with his father to the hospital. In the ER waiting room, he called Hunter's cell. Voicemail. He tried Iris. Same. Finally, he called Mervyn Neal. "Marshall, thank God you came." The 80-year-old neighbor sounded relieved. "I knew something was wrong. Your brother." He hesitated. "Tell me everything, Mervyn. Last few months, I'd see him coming and going, but never staying long. Your father stopped coming out to get the paper. When I'd knock, sometimes he wouldn't answer, or he'd seem confused about what day it was. 2 weeks ago, I saw Hunter loading things into a truck. Boxes. Picture frames. Your mother's china." Marshall's jaw clenched. "And the Vegas trip?" "I heard Iris bragging about it to her friend. Said they were staying at the Bellagio. Using your father's credit cards, from what I gathered. Said something that made my blood run cold." "What?" She said, "He doesn't need much anymore. Might as well enjoy it while we can." Chapter 2. The Evidence. Dr. Moshe Smith, a no-nonsense ER physician in his 50s, pulled Marshall aside at 2 a.m. "Your father's severely malnourished and dehydrated. His blood sugar is dangerously low. Another day or two." Dr. Smith didn't finish. "This is consistent with neglect. I'm required by law to report suspected elder abuse." "Report it," Marshall said coldly. "I'll be filing charges myself." Taylor flew in the next morning with their 12-year-old daughter, Lena. They checked into a hotel, but Marshall barely left the hospital. His father was stable but weak, confused about dates, unable to recall whole chunks of the past few weeks. Hunter said he was handling everything, Rodney repeated, his thin hands plucking at the hospital blanket. Said I didn't need to worry, that you were too busy in Chicago, that I shouldn't bother you. Marshall felt the rage building, cold and focused. Hunter had always been the golden child, charming, easygoing, fun. While Marshall had worked his way through college and built his career, Hunter had drifted through jobs, always landing on his feet through charisma and their father's connections. When he married Iris Baird 3 years ago, everyone thought he'd finally settled down. She worked at a bank, seemed responsible. Marshall had been relieved when Hunter volunteered to handle their father's affairs. It meant one less thing to worry about. Stupid. He'd been so stupid. On day 3, while his father slept, Marshall drove to his father's bank. The manager, a woman named Marcia Blankenship, recognized him. Mr. Howell, I'm so glad you're here. She looked genuinely distressed. I've been worried. The account activity has been unusual. She pulled up the statements. Over the past 6 months, Rodney Howell's retirement accounts, carefully managed for decades, had been systematically drained. Cash withdrawals, wire transfers, credit card charges in Las Vegas, Miami, Los Angeles. We flagged several transactions, Marcia explained. But your brother had power of attorney. He showed the documents. Said your father approved everything. My father has been neglected to the point of near death, Marshall said. This is financial elder abuse. Marcia's face went pale. I'll print everything. And Mr. Howell, there's something else. 2 months ago, your brother came in with your father. Had him sign documents to take out a reverse mortgage on the house. Your father seemed confused, but your brother assured us it was all planned. Marshall felt like he'd been punched. The house is mortgaged. $300,000. The money went into an account your brother set up. Joint account with your father, but only your brother has access. Marshall left the bank with a banker's box full of statements. Back at the hospital, he found his father awake, looking clearer. Dad, did you agree to a reverse mortgage? Rodney's confusion was genuine. What? No, I'd never. That house is paid off. Your mother and I worked for 30 years. Hunter took one out. $300,000. His father's face crumpled. No, he wouldn't. He's my son. So am I, Marshall said quietly. And I'm going to fix this. That afternoon, Marshall met with Blair Wiley, the best criminal defense attorney in Asheville, who also handled elder abuse cases. Blair was a sharp woman in her 40s with a reputation for being ruthless. Financial elder abuse, exploitation of a vulnerable adult, fraud, forgery if he signed documents your father didn't understand. Blair listed grimly. Possibly identity theft. This is serious criminal territory. Your brother could face 10 to 20 years. Good, Marshall said. What do we need? Documentation. Medical records showing your father's condition. Financial records. Witnesses. And we need to freeze everything before he spends more. They worked through the evening. Court order to freeze accounts. Emergency suspension of power of attorney. Adult Protective Services report filed. Police report for elder abuse and fraud. Marshall's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello. Marsh. Hey buddy, it's Hunter. His brother's voice was loud, happy, casino noise in the background. Heard you flew in. Everything okay? Marshall's grip on the phone tightened. Where are you, Hunter? Vegas, baby. Iris's birthday trip. We're killing it at the tables. Just won 1,500 on blackjack. Hey, how's Dad doing? The casual cruelty of it, the oblivious entitlement, made Marshall's vision red. Dad's in the hospital, Marshall said, his voice deadly calm. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, and neglect. The power was shut off. There was no food in the house. He was lying in his own filth. Silence on the other end. Then what? No, that's not. I checked on him last week. He was fine. You're lying. Mervyn Neal confirmed you haven't been by in over 2 weeks. And you've been in Vegas for 5 days. Look, man, Dad's old. He gets confused. Sometimes he forgets to eat. You stole $300,000, Hunter. Reverse mortgage, cash withdrawals, credit card fraud. All while our father was starving. That's not. Those were legitimate expenses. Dad approved everything. Dad doesn't even remember signing the mortgage papers. And I've got bank surveillance footage showing you dragging him in while he could barely stand. More silence. Marshall could hear Iris in the background. What's wrong? What's he saying? I'm done protecting you, Marshall said. Get home. Now. Because when Dad wakes up tomorrow, we're pressing charges. He hung up. Chapter 3. Recovery and Reckoning. For 2 weeks, Marshall stayed. Taylor managed things in Chicago, brought Lena down on weekends. Slowly, Rodney regained strength. Marshall hired a private nurse, paid off the utility bills, stocked the house with food, had the locks changed. Hunter and Iris returned 3 days after Marshall's call. They came to the hospital. Security turned them away on Marshall's orders. They went to the house, new locks. Hunter called constantly. Marshall ignored him. Instead, Marshall worked. He found his father's hidden notebook and began documenting everything. He interviewed neighbors, pulled security footage from the bank, retrieved records of every transaction, found the storage unit where Hunter had stashed their mother's belongings, preparing to sell them. He discovered Hunter had quit his job 4 months ago, had been gambling heavily for over a year. Iris had been fired from the bank for irregularities. She'd been caught helping customers bypass fraud protections. They weren't just opportunistic thieves. They were desperate, sinking, and had decided to use Rodney Howell as their life raft. Marshall found more. Hunter had been forging checks, had taken out credit cards in their father's name, had sold off stocks without permission. The total damages exceeded $500,000, nearly everything their father had. On Christmas Eve, Rodney came home. Marshall had decorated, lights, tree, the works. Mervyn came over with cookies. Taylor and Lena made dinner. It felt almost normal. Almost. I trusted him, Rodney said quietly that night, sitting by the tree with Marshall. Your mother died, and I thought. Hunter needed me. He always needed more help than you. You were always so capable, so independent. I thought if I gave him responsibility, trusted him. This isn't your fault, Dad. I should have known. There were signs, but I didn't want to see them. Rodney's eyes were wet. What happens now? Marshall had been waiting for this conversation. That's up to you, Dad. Blair has everything ready. We can file criminal charges. Hunter will go to prison. Or we handle this another way. Rodney studied his son's face. What do you have in mind? Marshall smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Hunter and Iris think they're clever. They think they can sweet-talk their way out of this. They think you're weak, and I'm too busy to care. He leaned forward. Let them think that a little longer. Let them think they still have a chance. Marshall, they need to pay, Dad. Really pay. Not just legally, personally. I want them to lose everything they value. I want them to feel what you felt. Rodney was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you need me to do? Invite them over. New Year's Day. Tell them we need to talk about working this out. Can you do that? Understanding dawned in his father's eyes. You have a plan. I have a plan. The next morning, Rodney called Hunter. Marshall listened on speaker. Son, it's Dad. Dad. Oh, thank God. Look, I can explain everything. Come to the house. New Year's Day. Bring Iris. Marshall will be here too. We need to work this out. As a family. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Dad, I'm so glad you're being reasonable. Marshall's been poisoning you against me, but you know I'd never hurt you. You know that, right? Just come on New Year's Day. 2 o'clock. Rodney hung up and looked at Marshall. He thinks I'm on his side. Good, Marshall said. Let him. Marshall spent the next week executing his plan with military precision. He brought in Noel Moreno, his oldest friend from college, now a forensic accountant. Together, they built an airtight case, documenting every crime, every theft, every moment of neglect. But Marshall wasn't just building a legal case. He made calls to Hunter's friends, dropping hints about Hunter's new investment opportunity. He created fake documents for a property development deal, completely legal-looking, requiring a substantial cash investment, guaranteed returns. He reached out to Eric Dillon, one of Hunter's gambling buddies, and fed him carefully crafted information about a sure-thing bet. He planted seeds, carefully, precisely. Then he waited. Chapter 4. The Performance. New Year's Day arrived cold and clear. Marshall had the house prepared. His father sat in his favorite chair, looking stronger but deliberately playing up weakness. Taylor and Lena were at the hotel. This wasn't for them to see. Hunter and Iris arrived exactly at 2. Hunter carrying flowers, Iris with a casserole dish. Dad. Hunter rushed in, all concern and warmth. You look so much better. We were so worried. Iris hung back, eyes calculating, taking in the restored house, the new locks. Marshall, she said coolly. Iris. Marshall's voice was flat. They settled in the living room, awkward tension thick in the air. Hunter kept up his performance, asking about Rodney's health, apologizing for being out of town, explaining how he'd lost track of time in Vegas. But I'm back now, Hunter said earnestly. And we're going to fix everything, right, Dad? Rodney looked at his younger son with an expression Marshall couldn't quite read. Tell me about Vegas, Hunter. Did you have fun? Hunter glanced at Marshall nervously. We needed a break. Things have been stressful. I can imagine, Marshall said. Stealing from your father must be very stressful work. I didn't steal. $500,000, Marshall interrupted. Gone. While Dad starved in the dark. Iris stood up. We're not doing this. Come on, Hunter. Sit down. Rodney's voice cracked like a whip. Both Hunter and Iris froze. The old man might be weak, but there was still authority there. We're going to talk. Really talk. For the next hour, Marshall laid it out. Every transaction, every theft, every lie. Hunter denied, deflected, made excuses. Iris tried to leave 3 times. Each time, Rodney ordered them to stay. Finally, Hunter broke. Okay, I took some money. But it was for Dad's care. Medical expenses, the house. Liar, Marshall said softly. Medical expenses don't include $15,000 in Las Vegas casinos. The house doesn't need a $5,000 handbag. He nodded toward the Hermes bag Iris was clutching. Iris's face went ugly. Your father's an old man. He doesn't need that money. He'll be dead in a few years anyway. We have our whole lives. Get out, Rodney whispered. Get out of my house. Dad, Hunter tried. I said get out. Hunter and Iris fled. Marshall watched them go, then turned to his father, who was shaking. I never thought. Rodney's voice broke. My own son. She said I'd be dead soon. Like I was already. I know, Dad. Marshall knelt beside his father's chair. But here's the thing. They're not done yet. What do you mean? Hunter's desperate. They're broke. I checked. The Vegas trip maxed out the last credit card. They're facing eviction. And they know I have all the evidence to send them to prison. Marshall's smile was cold. So they're going to do something stupid. I'm counting on it. Chapter 5, The Bait. 3 days later, Marshall got the call he'd been waiting for. Mr. Howell? This is Detective Lindsay Tyler with Asheville PD. We need you to come down to the station. Marshall feigned surprise. Is this about my father's case? Not exactly. It's about your brother. He's filed a complaint against you. At the station, Detective Tyler, a sharp-eyed woman in her 30s, showed Marshall the paperwork. Hunter claimed Marshall had coerced their father, stolen power of attorney, and was attempting to freeze Hunter out of their father's care and finances to claim the inheritance. He's saying you're the one financially abusing your father, Tyler explained. That you forced your dad to make these statements. Marshall pulled out his phone and showed her the hospital records, the bank statements, the photographic evidence of his father's condition. My father was 24 hours from death when I found him. Here's the medical report. Here's the APS investigation. Here are the bank records showing my brother stole over $500,000. Tyler's expression darkened as she reviewed everything. Jesus. Okay, your brother's complaint is bullshit. But you should know, he's trying to get emergency power of attorney reinstated. He filed with the court this morning. He what? Claims your father has dementia, that you're manipulating him. He's got a doctor's statement. Marshall felt ice in his veins. What doctor? Tyler checked. Dr. Hugh Shaw. Family practice. Marshall didn't know that name. He called Blair Wiley immediately. Shop doctor, Blair explained grimly. There are a handful of physicians who'll write whatever you want for the right price. Hunter probably paid $2,000 cash for that statement. We can fight it, but it'll take time. We don't have time, Marshall said. If Hunter gets power of attorney back, he'll drain whatever's left and disappear. Then we accelerate, Blair said. Criminal charges. Now. Marshall hesitated. Not yet. I have a better idea. That night, Marshall called Noel Moreno. Is it ready? The Riverside Development LLC? Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Looks completely legit. Property deeds, investment prospectus, projected returns. You sure about this? Hunter's scrambling. He needs money fast. This is exactly what he'll bite on. Marshall had created a fake investment opportunity. A property development deal that required $50,000 cash investment, promised 300% returns in 6 months. The documents were perfect. The property was real. Marshall actually owned it through a shell company. The only fake part was the returns. He leaked information about the deal to Eric Dillon, Hunter's gambling friend. Made it sound exclusive, time-sensitive, too good to pass up. Then he waited. 2 days later, Hunter called. Marsh, hey. Look, can we talk? Man to man. I'm listening. I know things got heated, but we're family. Can we meet? Just you and me. No lawyers, no dad. I want to make this right. They met at a bar downtown. Hunter looked haggard. 3 days of beard, bloodshot eyes, cheap suit. The golden boy veneer was cracking. I'm sorry, Hunter said, and for a moment, he almost sounded sincere. You're right. I fucked up. I took money I shouldn't have. But Marsh, I'm drowning here. We're losing the apartment. Iris is pregnant. Marshall felt nothing. Congratulations. I need help. Not money. I know you won't give me that. But I heard about this investment deal. Riverside Development. Eric mentioned you were involved. There it was. The hook in the water. What about it? If I could get in, it could save us. Turn everything around. But I need 50 grand, and I don't have it. Hunter looked up, desperate hope in his eyes. But Dad does. What's left anyway? If you could just convince him to lend it to me. I'll pay it back triple when the deal pays out. Marshall wanted to laugh. Hunter wanted to steal again, using Marshall's fake company as the excuse. Hunter, you stole $500,000 from Dad. Why would he trust you with 50,000 more? Because you'll vouch for the investment. He'll listen to you. Hunter leaned forward. Please, Marsh. I'm begging you. I'll sign anything. Legal documents, promissory notes, whatever you want. Just help me get this investment, and I'll make everything right. Marshall pretended to consider. I'll talk to Dad. But Hunter, if you fuck this up, if you steal one more dollar, I will destroy you. Understand? Yes. God, yes. Thank you, Marsh. Thank you. Chapter 6. The Squeeze. Marshall didn't go to his father with Hunter's request. Instead, he went to Blair Wiley. He's going to try to steal from Dad again, Marshall explained. I gave him just enough rope. Now we need to catch him actually doing it. Blair grinned. You evil genius. Okay, here's what we do. They set up surveillance. Hidden cameras in Rodney's house. Phone taps. Legal ones, with court orders. They were documenting everything now. Marshall told his father the plan. Hunter's going to come to you, probably in the next day or two. He'll have some story about an investment opportunity. He's going to try to get you to write a check or transfer money. And you want me to do it? No. I want you to say you'll think about it. Then I want you to call me, scared, saying Hunter's pressuring you. We need him on camera, on recording, actively coercing you. Rodney understood. You're building a criminal case that can't be defended against. I'm making sure he can never hurt you again. 2 days later, exactly as Marshall predicted, Hunter showed up at the house. Alone. He was gentle at first, bringing food, asking about Rodney's health. Then he brought up the investment. Marshall watched from his hotel room, viewing the hidden camera feed on his laptop. It's a sure thing, Dad. Marshall's even involved. He said if I could get the money, he'd vouch for me. Marshall said that. Rodney sounded uncertain, playing his role perfectly. Yeah, this could save us. Save our family. Let me pay you back everything I owe. Hunter pulled out papers, the fake Riverside Development prospectus. 50,000 now, 150,000 back in 6 months. You'd make money too. I don't know, Hunter. Hunter's voice got harder. Dad, please. I'm your son. You've always helped me before. Why won't you help me now? You stole from me, Hunter. You left me to die. That was a mistake. I fucked up. But this is my chance to fix it. Hunter's voice rose. You have the money. I know you do. Marshall didn't take everything. Just write the check, Dad. Or I'll. You'll what? Rodney's voice was cold. Hunter caught himself. Nothing. Please. I need to think about it. There's no time. The investment window closes tomorrow. Hunter was pacing now, agitated. Just write the fucking check, old man. Did you just? I'm sorry. But Dad, please. I'm desperate here. We're going to lose everything. Iris is pregnant. I need this. Rodney stood up, shaky but determined. Get out. Dad, get out. And don't come back. Hunter left, slamming the door. Marshall had everything on video. But Marshall wasn't done. That evening, he called Hunter. Dad told me what happened. You tried to pressure him into an investment. It wasn't like that. Save it. But Hunter, I'm going to give you one chance. 1. Meet me tomorrow at the Riverside Development office. Bring Iris. We're going to settle this, once and for all. Settle it how? You'll see. Marshall gave him an address, a real office building downtown, an office Marshall had rented for this specific purpose. Inside, he'd set up a conference room with the Riverside development materials, making everything look legitimate. He also invited Blair Wiley and Detective Tyler, and his father, and 2 FBI agents investigating financial fraud. The trap was set. Chapter 7, The Revelation. Hunter and Iris arrived at the office building at 10 a.m., dressed up, hopeful. They thought they were getting their investment opportunity, their salvation. Marshall met them in the lobby. Come up to the conference room. In the elevator, Iris was chatty. This building is nice. The investment must be doing well. It's doing very well, Marshall agreed. They walked into the conference room and froze. Rodney sat at the head of the table, looking stronger than he had in months. Next to him, Blair Wiley, Detective Tyler, 2 people in FBI windbreakers, and a woman with a camera, a reporter from the Asheville Citizen-Times. What the fuck is this? Iris turned to run. 2 uniformed police officers blocked the door. Sit down, Marshall said calmly. We're going to talk. Hunter's face had gone white. Marsh, what are you doing? Getting justice. Blair Wiley stood up. Hunter Howell, Iris Howell, I'm informing you that criminal charges are being filed against you for financial elder abuse, exploitation of a vulnerable adult, fraud, forgery, identity theft, and embezzlement totaling over $560,000. That's not. We didn't, Hunter stammered. One of the FBI agents, a stern man in his 50s, opened a folder. We've been investigating you for 6 weeks, Mr. Howell. Your brother's evidence was comprehensive. Bank fraud, wire fraud, credit card fraud. These are federal crimes. Iris pointed at Marshall. He set us up. That investment thing, it was fake. Actually, Marshall said, Riverside Development is real. I own it. And you just tried to defraud my father out of $50,000 to invest in my fake opportunity that I created specifically to catch you in the act of theft. Again, he pulled up the video on a large monitor. Hunter and Iris watched themselves. Hunter pressuring their father, Iris counting cash she'd stolen from Rodney's wallet on a previous visit, both of them discussing how the old man doesn't need much anymore. Where did you? Iris started. Cameras. In Dad's house. With his permission and a court order. Everything you said, everything you did, recorded. Hunter looked at his father. Dad, please. I'm your son. So is Marshall, Rodney said quietly. But you treated me like garbage. Like I was already dead. Like my only value was what you could take from me. I made mistakes. You left me to starve. Rodney's voice broke. You stole from me. You lied to me. You tried to put me in a nursing home so you could sell my house. Yes, Hunter, I found those brochures. You were going to warehouse me in the cheapest facility you could find and take everything. The reporter was writing furiously. This was the story of the year. Blair Wiley laid out more documents. The DA is filing charges today. Federal prosecutors are building a case. Between the state and federal charges, you're looking at 15 to 20 years in prison. Each. Iris started crying. I'm pregnant. You can't. You should have thought about that before you robbed a sick old man, Detective Tyler said coldly. Marshall stood up. But here's where it gets interesting. Dad doesn't want to just see you in prison. He wants you to feel what he felt. What does that mean? Hunter whispered. Rodney spoke. Means I'm pressing every charge. Means I'm suing you civilly for every penny you took, plus damages. Means I'm going to take your house, your cars, your savings, everything. You wanted to leave me with nothing? Now you'll have nothing. But we're family, Hunter whispered. No, Rodney said. Marshall's family. You're just thieves who happen to share my blood. Chapter 8. The Unraveling. The arrests happened that afternoon. Hunter and Iris in handcuffs. Perp walked past news cameras Marshall had conveniently tipped off. The story went viral locally. Son arrested for elder abuse after stealing $500,000 from father. But Marshall wasn't finished. Over the next week, the dominoes fell. The civil suit was filed, seeking full restitution plus treble damages, over $1.6 million. Liens were placed on Hunter and Iris's apartment, their cars, their bank accounts. Everything was frozen. Marshall leaked information to Hunter's former employers, ensuring they knew about the criminal charges. He contacted their landlord with evidence of fraud. He reached out to Iris's parents, showing them exactly what their daughter had done. The social destruction was as comprehensive as the legal destruction. Hunter tried to fight back. He gave an interview claiming Marshall had manipulated their father, that the old man had dementia, that this was all about inheritance. Marshall released the medical records proving Rodney was competent, released the videos of Hunter pressuring their father, released bank statements showing Hunter gambling away stolen money while Rodney starved. Public opinion turned savage. Comments online called for maximum sentences. Strangers recognized Hunter and Iris on the street and confronted them. Their lives became unlivable. Iris's pregnancy became complicated, stress-induced. She miscarried at 8 weeks. Hunter blamed Marshall, called him, screaming, "You killed my baby. You fucking killed my baby." "No," Marshall said calmly. "You did. When you decided stealing was more important than being a decent human being." Hunter broke down. "Please, please, Marsh. Make this stop. We'll give everything back. There's nothing left to give back. You spent it all. Then what do you want?" "Well, we'll make this stop. I want you to feel what Dad felt. Helpless, abandoned, worthless. And you're just getting started." Marshall hung up. But even Marshall hadn't anticipated what came next. 3 days later, Blair Wiley called with news. The FBI found something else. They were investigating Hunter's finances and discovered Iris was involved in a larger fraud scheme at her bank. She was helping multiple people commit fraud, taking cuts. There are 12 more victims. The bank's being investigated. This is way bigger than we thought. How much bigger? Federal RICO charges bigger. Organized financial fraud. Hunter's probably not involved in that part, but Iris is looking at an additional 30 years. Marshall felt a flash of something. Not quite guilt, but close. This had gone beyond revenge. This was obliteration. But then he remembered his father, skeletal and alone in that dark house. And he felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Chapter 9, Justice and Family. The trials took 8 months. Hunter pleaded guilty to avoid federal charges, accepting a 12-year sentence with possibility of parole after 7. Iris went to trial, was convicted on 43 counts of fraud and elder abuse, and received a 25-year sentence. The civil judgments went unopposed. Rodney was awarded $1.6 million plus interest. Marshall ensured the judgment was properly registered and enforced. Not that there was anything to collect. Hunter and Iris had nothing left. But the judgments would follow them forever. Any money they ever earned, any assets they ever acquired, would be subject to seizure. They would never recover. On a warm day in May, Marshall stood with his father in the backyard of the family house. They were planting tomatoes, something Rodney and his late wife used to do every spring. "You went further than I expected," Rodney said quietly. "Hunter's life is destroyed. He destroyed his own life, Dad. I just made sure he faced consequences." And Iris? She made her choices. Rodney was quiet for a moment, tamping down soil. "Your mother wouldn't have approved. Mom's not here. And if she was, she'd have burned them both to the ground for what they did to you." Rodney laughed, surprising himself. Yeah, she would have." They worked in comfortable silence. Finally, Rodney spoke again. "I changed my will. Everything goes to you. Hunter's written out completely." Marshall had expected this. "Dad, no. He made his choice. And I need you to know something." Rodney straightened up, looking his older son in the eye. "I knew." "Knew what?" "What Hunter was doing. Not all of it, but enough. I knew he was taking money. I knew he was stealing. I even knew about the reverse mortgage. He got me to sign it by telling me it was refinancing paperwork." Marshall stared at his father. "You knew?" "I was weak. Sick. But not that sick. Not at first." Rodney's eyes were wet. "I kept telling myself he'd stop. That he'd realize what he was doing and stop. That he was my son and he wouldn't actually let me die. I was wrong. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Pride. Shame. Hope. Pick your poison." Rodney wiped his eyes. "But that last week, when I was lying there in the dark, too weak to move, phone dead, no one coming. I knew he'd gone too far. I knew if he didn't find me, I'd die. And I knew he knew that too. And he didn't care. Jesus, Dad. But you came. Of course you came. You always do." Rodney gripped Marshall's shoulder. "I don't deserve you. You're my father. You deserve everything I can give you. And Hunter was my son. And I failed him. Failed to raise him right. Failed to stop him when I should have. Failed at everything that mattered." "No," Marshall said firmly. "Hunter's choices are his own. You gave him every advantage, every opportunity. He chose to betray that. That's on him, not you. Rodney nodded, not entirely convinced, but accepting it. That evening, Marshall sat with Taylor and Lena at a restaurant downtown, celebrating. The ordeal was over. Justice had been served. Do you feel better? Taylor asked. Now that it's done? Marshall considered. I don't know if better is the right word, but I feel like I did what needed to be done. Hunter and Iris will never hurt anyone again. Dad's safe. The house is secure. That's what matters. Uncle Hunter's really going to prison for 12 years? Lena asked. She barely knew her uncle, but the whole situation had affected her. Yes, sweetheart. He did very bad things. Hurt Grandpa. Stole from him. There are consequences for that. Good, Lena said with 12-year-old certainty. He deserves it. Later, driving back to the hotel, Taylor said, You scared me a little. The way you went after them. Scared you how? Like you were a different person. Cold. Ruthless. I've never seen you like that. Marshall pulled into the parking lot and turned off the car. That was me protecting family. Dad couldn't protect himself, so I did it for him. Hunter made choices. I just ensured he faced the consequences. Is that ruthless? Maybe, but it was also necessary. Taylor took his hand. I'm proud of you. What you did for your dad. Just don't ever get on your bad side, okay? Marshall laughed. Deal. 3 months later, Marshall moved his father to Chicago. Rodney sold the Asheville house, too many bad memories, and bought a condo near Marshall's family. He joined a senior center, made new friends, started living again. On Sundays, they'd have dinner together. Marshall, Taylor, Lena, and Rodney. 4 generations, strong and whole. One Sunday, Lena asked, Grandpa, do you ever think about Uncle Hunter? Rodney considered the question carefully. Sometimes. I wonder if he's okay, if he's learned anything. But then I remember what he did, what he was willing to do, and I realize he's not really my son anymore. He made sure of that. Do you miss him? I miss the boy I thought he was, the son I hoped he'd become. But the man he actually is? No, I don't miss him at all. Marshall caught his father's eye across the table. Understanding passed between them. The acknowledgement of a hard truth, a necessary severing, a choice that couldn't be unmade. Later, after everyone had gone home, Marshall stood on his balcony looking out over the Chicago skyline. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hello. Heavy breathing. Then, I hope you're happy. I hope destroying my life was worth it. Hunter, how did you? I'm in prison because of you. Iris is in prison because of you. We lost everything because of you. You turned Dad against me. You ruined us. Marshall felt the old anger rising, but kept his voice level. I didn't ruin you, Hunter. You ruined yourself. Everything that happened is a direct consequence of your choices. I'm your brother. You were my brother. Past tense. Brothers don't leave their fathers to die. Brothers don't steal $500,000. You stopped being my brother the day you decided Dad's life was worth less than your next bet. Fuck you, Marshall. Fuck you. When I get out. When you get out, you'll be a 60-year-old felon with nothing to your name and a debt you'll never repay. You'll be nobody. And Dad and I will still be here, living good lives without you. Marshall hung up and blocked the number. He didn't feel guilty. He didn't feel conflicted. He felt at peace. Justice had been served. His father was safe. The villain had been defeated. And Marshall Howell, dutiful son, successful architect, protector of his family, could finally rest. Epilogue. 5 years later, Rodney Howell passed away peacefully in his sleep at age 78. Heart failure, quick and painless. Marshall and Taylor were with him when it happened. The funeral was small, intimate. Friends, neighbors, colleagues. Lena read a poem. Marshall gave a eulogy that focused on his father's strength, his kindness, his resilience. Hunter was informed of his father's death. He'd been transferred to a federal facility in Pennsylvania. He requested permission to attend the funeral. Marshall, as executor of the estate, denied the request. The day before the funeral, a letter arrived from Marshall. Prison stationery. Hunter's handwriting. Marshall almost threw it away. But curiosity won. Marshall, Dad's gone. I should feel something. Maybe I do, under all this anger. Maybe not. You think you won. You think you got justice. But all you did was destroy a family. Dad died without his son beside him. That's on you. I'm getting out in 2 years. Iris got early release, some technicality, good behavior, overcrowding. We're going to rebuild. We're going to have the life you tried to take from us. And when we do, I want you to remember, family is supposed to matter more than revenge. You chose revenge. You chose to be the hero of your own story where I'm the villain. But history's written by the winners, isn't it? So enjoy your victory, brother. Enjoy your inheritance. Enjoy your perfect life. Just remember what it cost. Hunter. Marshall read the letter twice. Then he lit it on fire over the kitchen sink and washed the ashes down the drain. Family was supposed to matter more than revenge? No. Family mattered more than money, more than pride, more than convenience. Hunter had forgotten that. Iris had forgotten that. They'd treated Rodney Howell, husband, father, grandfather, like a resource to be exploited. They'd shown exactly how much family mattered to them. Marshall had simply ensured they faced consequences. That night, after the funeral, Marshall sat with Taylor on their couch, her head on his shoulder. No regrets? She asked quietly. None. Hunter's getting out soon. What if he comes after us? Let him try. Marshall had learned something over the past 5 years. Some people deserve mercy. Some people deserve second chances. Some people can be redeemed. And some people are just poison. And the only way to deal with poison is to cut it out completely. Hunter Howell had made his choices. Marshall had made his. And Marshall would make the same choices again, without hesitation. Because at the end of the day, Marshall had done what sons are supposed to do. Protect their parents. Honor their parents. Love their parents. Everything else was just noise. Marshall closed his eyes, feeling Taylor's warmth beside him, hearing Lena's music drifting from her room, remembering his father's smile at that last Sunday dinner. This was family. This was worth fighting for. This was victory. And it had been earned. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.